What you're looking at right now, this isn't supposed to exist in Las Vegas. These are the graveyards of billion-dollar dreams, the casinos that were supposed to be the future of Vegas, but instead became its most expensive disasters. Today, I'm going to show you 5 mega casinos that didn't just fail, they collapsed, and when they fell, they took over $10 billion down with them. These aren't small-time operations. We're talking about casinos backed by some of the richest people in America, casinos that were supposed to revolutionize the Strip. Instead, they became cautionary tales that the gambling industry tries to bury. But here's what they don't want you to know. The real reasons these casinos failed weren't bad luck. They were preventable disasters that reveal the dark side of Vegas that tourists never see. So buckle up, because we're counting down the 5 mega casinos that collapsed and cost Vegas billions. And trust me, number 1 will shock you. Coming in at number 5, the Riviera. Now, if you've been to Vegas recently, you've probably walked right over this casino's grave without even knowing it. That's right, where you see a parking lot today used to stand one of the Strip's most iconic casinos. The Riviera operated for 60 years. 60 years. Before they tore it down for parking spaces. The Riviera wasn't just any casino. This was where Elvis played, where the Rat Pack hung out, where millions of dreams were made and broken. It was a piece of Vegas history. But by 2015, the writing was on the wall. The casino was hemorrhaging money. Attendance was down 40% from its peak. The building needed massive renovations that would cost hundreds of millions. Here's the shocking part. The total losses? Over $2.3 billion when you account for all the investments, renovations, and final closure costs over its lifetime. The last day of operation was May 4th, 2015. Employees found out they were losing their jobs through a company memo. No ceremony, no farewell, just gone. 6 months later, they imploded the towers. Thousands of people showed up to watch 60 years of Vegas history get erased in 30 seconds. Today, it's a parking lot for the Las Vegas Convention Center, a $2.3 billion parking lot. Let that sink in. But the Riviera's story is just the beginning, because at number 4, we have a casino that failed so spectacularly, it became a business school case study on how not to build a casino. Number 4 is the Lucky Dragon. And if you think losing $2.3 billion over 60 years is bad, try losing $300 million in just 2 years. The Lucky Dragon opened in November 2016 with massive fanfare. It was supposed to be the first casino specifically designed for Asian gamblers. They spent $300 million building this thing. Everything about this place screamed luxury. Hand-carved dragons, imported materials, VIP rooms that cost more per night than most people make in a month. The owners projected they'd make $150 million in revenue in the first year. They had celebrities at the opening. They had the best marketing money could buy. But here's what they didn't have: customers. By month 6, they were pulling in less than 20% of their projected revenue. The casino floor was so empty, dealers outnumbered players most nights. The problems were everywhere. The location was off the main strip. The Asian theme alienated non-Asian gamblers. And most importantly, they misunderstood their target market. One former dealer told me, quote, "Some nights I'd deal for 3 hours and see maybe 5 players. It was like working in a ghost town." By December 2017, just 13 months after opening, Lucky Dragon filed for bankruptcy. The final damage? $300 million gone, hundreds of jobs lost, and a casino that now sits empty, a monument to how not to understand your market. Drive by it today, and you'll see security fencing and no trespassing signs. $300 million worth of no trespassing signs. But Lucky Dragon's 2-year collapse is nothing compared to number 3. A casino that spent an entire decade as a $3 billion eyesore on the Strip. Number 3 is the Fontine Blow, and this one is personal for Vegas. For 10 years, this 6-7-story tower sat unfinished on the north end of the Strip like a giant middle finger to everyone who believed Vegas always bounces back. Construction started in 2007 at the height of the Vegas boom. The developer, Jeffrey Soffer, projected this would be the most luxurious resort in Vegas history. The plans were insane. 4,000 rooms, A mall bigger than most cities, restaurants by world-famous chefs, a nightclub that would make other Vegas clubs look like dive bars. The budget, $3 billion, and that was just the starting point. But then 2008 happened. The financial crisis hit Vegas like a freight train. Credit dried up, investors pulled out, construction companies went bankrupt. In November 2008, with the tower 70% complete, construction stopped. Just stopped. For the next decade, this became Vegas's most expensive embarrassment, a $3 billion reminder that even in Sin City, hubris has consequences. Tourists would point at it and ask, "What's that building?" Locals called it the eyesore. Industry insiders called it the billion-dollar mistake. Over the years, there were dozens of attempts to restart construction. New investors would come in, make promises, then disappear when they realized the scope of the disaster. The building changed hands 7 times. 7 different groups of investors thought they could salvage this mess. They all lost money. Finally, in 2022, new owners committed to finishing the project. But here's the kicker. The final cost to complete it? Another $2 billion on top of the original $3 billion. That's a $5 billion casino, the most expensive casino ever built, and it took 17 years to finish. The Fontine Blow finally opened in December 2023, but the damage was done. 17 years of losses, opportunity costs, and embarrassment. But even a $5 billion disaster pales in comparison to number 2. A casino that failed so hard, they had to rebrand the entire property just to escape the stigma. Number 2 is the Sahara's dark years. And this story proves that sometimes a name change isn't enough to escape a catastrophic failure. The Sahara was a Vegas legend. It opened in 1952 and became synonymous with old-school Vegas glamour. The Rat Pack performed here. It was featured in Ocean's 11. This place had history, but by the 2000s, the Sahara was dying. The decor was stuck in the 1980s. The clientele was aging out. Younger gamblers went to newer, shinier casinos. Revenue dropped every single year from 2005 to 2011. By the end, they were losing $40 million annually. On the 16th of May 2011, the Sahara closed its doors. Another Vegas legend, gone. But here's where it gets interesting. Most failed casinos get demolished. The Sahara got something worse. It got rebranded. In 2014, a new owner bought the property and spent $415 million turning it into SLS Las Vegas. They completely gutted the interior. New restaurants, new casino floor, new everything. The marketing was everywhere. The new face of Vegas, where luxury meets rebellion. They had celebrities, influencers, the works. But the rebrand was a disaster. The SLS never captured the magic of the original Sahara, and it couldn't compete with newer properties on the Strip. The numbers don't lie. SLS lost money every single year it operated, not just a little money. Massive losses that made the original Sahara's problems look minor. They went through 3 different management companies in 5 years. Each one promised to turn things around. Each one failed worse than the last. By 2019, they were so desperate they brought back the Sahara name. That's right, they spent $415 million to rebrand away from Sahara, then rebranded back to Sahara. When you add up the losses during closure, the $415 million rebrand, the SLS operating losses, and the cost to rebrand back, we're talking about nearly $1 billion in total losses. Today, the property operates as Sahara Las Vegas again, but it's never recovered from those dark years. The damage to the brand was too severe. But all of these disasters, the Riviera, Lucky Dragon, Fontine Blow, Sahara, they all pale in comparison to number 1. Because number 1 isn't just the most expensive casino failure in Vegas history, it's a failure so spectacular, it changed how the entire industry thinks about building casinos. And number 1, the Stardust implosion. The most expensive demolition in Las Vegas history, and a casino failure so complete, it redefined what catastrophic loss means in the gambling industry. The Stardust wasn't just any casino, this was a strip institution. It operated for 48 years and was home to some of the most famous entertainment in Vegas history. Wayne Newton performed here over 5,000 times. Major boxing matches happened here. This was where Vegas entertainment was defined for decades. But by the 2000s, the Stardust was facing the same problem as other old Vegas properties. It was outdated, undersized, and hemorrhaging money to newer mega resorts. Boyd Gaming, the owner, was losing $50 million a year on the property. But here's what makes this different from every other casino failure we've talked about. Boyd didn't just want to renovate the Stardust, they wanted to completely demolish it and build something revolutionary, a $4 billion mega resort called Echelon Place. Echelon was supposed to be the largest resort in Vegas history. 5 towers, 5,300 rooms, retail spaces bigger than most shopping malls. So on the 1st of November 2006, the Stardust closed forever. Boyd spent $10 million on demolition preparation alone. On the 13th of March 2007, they imploded the Stardust Towers in what became the most watched demolition in Vegas history. Over 50,000 people showed up to watch. In 32 seconds, 48 years of Vegas history was erased. Construction on Echelon started immediately. Boyd projected it would open in 2010 and generate over $1 billion in annual revenue. But then, 2008 happened. The financial crisis hit Vegas harder than anywhere else. Credit disappeared, tourism plummeted, construction stopped. By August 2008, with only foundations and partial structures completed, Boyd halted construction on Echelon indefinitely. What was left? A massive hole in the ground where one of Vegas's most successful casinos used to stand. Here's the shocking math. The Stardust was generating $200 million in annual revenue when they demolished it. The demolition cost $30 million. Echelon construction cost another $275 million before being halted. Lost Stardust revenue from 2007 to 2020, $2.6 billion. Demolition costs, $30 million. Echelon construction waste, $275 million. Site maintenance and security, $45 million. Total loss, $2.95 billion. But wait, it gets worse. Boyd eventually sold the property in 2013 for $350 million to a Malaysian company that built the Drew. The Drew finally opened in 2020, 13 years after the Stardust was demolished. But by then, the total cost of the entire debacle reached $8 billion in direct losses. And here's the kicker. The Drew has fewer rooms than the original Stardust had. They demolished a profitable casino, spent billions trying to replace it, and ended up with something smaller. The Stardust implosion didn't just cost $1.8 billion, it became a cautionary tale that changed how the entire industry approaches development. No major casino operator has demolished a profitable property for redevelopment since. So there you have it, 5 mega casinos that collapsed and cost Vegas over $10 billion in total losses. From the Riviera's $2.3 billion parking lot, to Lucky Dragon's $300 million two-year disaster, to Fontine Blow's $3 billion decade of embarrassment, to Sahara's $415 million rebrand catastrophe, to the Stardust's $1.8 billion implosion nightmare. These failures taught the industry valuable lessons. Today's Vegas developers are more cautious, more market-focused, and more aware of the real costs of failure. But for every casino that failed, dozens succeeded. Vegas remains the entertainment capital of the world because it learns from its mistakes. The next time you're walking down the Strip, remember, you're not just seeing the successes. You're walking over the graves of billions in dreams that didn't make it. What do you think? Which of these failures shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to see more stories about Vegas that they don't want you to know, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Trust me, there are plenty more secrets hiding in plain sight on the Strip.